phrased. So it's not improvisation per se, it's just putting the script back into the actor's kind of own ways of speaking. So you get all the good stuff from improvisation, like people going, I don't know what I'm doing, it looks like it's real. But it's actually, you don't get all the bad stuff of improvisation, which is the going massively off topic and things just not making any sense anymore. That's what I find with improvisation is like, pure improvisation, the performances are all great, but just, it's completely against the whole idea of what writing is, which is compression and kind of making things as tight as possible. It's a halfway house, really.
And is this family drama, what's your next project? Are you going to go further in this direction to do this kind of stories? No?
What's this? Something totally different.
Okay. Please tell us.
I can't, because the press release hasn't come out for it yet, but it's basically something more a romantic drama, period drama.
Is there any questions in the audience?
Hi. I've noticed that you have like a Ridley Scott level of productivity, and I wanted to know.
I don't have the budget of Ridley Scott, so
But what's the secret to being so productive?
Keeping your films cheap, and then there's less reasons for people to say no. I mean, this one we've self-financed, or we've put the financing together ourselves, so, and that's basically the easiest way of getting a movie made. You ask yourself, can I make the movie? You say yes, and then you do it, But I found like the bigger the budget, the harder it is to get a film away, and this is where you get people who do a film every 7 years. And I always wondered what they were doing in those 7 years, But I found out, which is just banging their heads against the wall in Los Angeles somewhere, and not making films. So I thought, I feel like it's much better for me to be making, because I think films like is a craft, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, hopefully. And hanging around for years on end is not conducive with that. So I try and make as much as possible. Yeah.
Sorry. Wow. You wrote the film and directed it and edited it. So how long did the different parts take?
I think it was written over a couple of years, but it wasn't me, in a garret writing it 24/7. I was doing all sorts of other stuff while that was going on. The directing, the actual production side of it was reasonably quick, so it was a fortnight, and the editing was, I think about 2 or 3 weeks. But I edit as I go along as well, so every night I was cutting it. But I think I wanted it to I wanted to capture the immediacy of the liveness of the experience as much as possible. So that's why it was quick. But it's not a consequence of budget. It's just the way I like to work. If I can work that way, and as a single credit on all those things, it's less people to negotiate with. So you can move faster and faster and faster. So yeah, them's the facts.
Hi. This movie depicts quite a gallery of characters, and I'm sure that different people in the audience can sympathize with different characters. Did you yourself feel that you're writing the script or the story for one character more than another, and can you sympathize more with one of them?
I think I sympathise with all of them, and I feel like as a writer on a large ensemble like this, you end up being all the characters to a degree. But also, I like the idea of, or I think in life, there's not really villains, and there's not really heroes. People are a mixture of those two things, and they can go from being a villain to a hero and back and forth, every 25 minutes through the day, you know, without any trouble, that were all full of inherent contradictions. So I think that was, you know, that's what I was trying to get, and that's why I didn't want to be on the side of anyone particularly within the script. But I think if I'm anyone, I'm probably Colin. Just in that kind of middle-aged, overweight, bad-tempered kind of point of view, and well-meaning but clumsy. So, you know.
Hello. So to me, this film, like, I'm English, and this film felt very English in the way that people are communicating. But I don't know if that's just because I'm English. Is that something you see in it, or do you think there's something? Or is that something you're not thinking about at all?
I think it's inevitable that if you make something in your own culture, it's your own culture, and that's, you know, and that's what's great about world cinema, and it doesn't hold me back from watching stuff from Sweden or from Japan or all over the world. But I know that I've had people make comments that it's particularly British, but I don't know what that is because I am British, so, you know, you can't see outside of that bubble, you know. But I think it's universal to a degree. He said, hopefully. I think this is the international premiere, you lucky people. so you know. But yeah, I think that families, I think it's like a litmus test really of families, you know, and you talk to people and they go, when you see it in reviews, and they go, these people are just appalling, and like, there's no, they're outrageous caricatures, and you go, well, you've got some fucking family where you've never had anything bad happen to you, obviously. You know, or people go, well, I understand all these characters. You know, I've had people go, oh, that happened to me, or this is an instance that happened. And I think that, you know, when you're working in that kind of family drama thing, it's kind of, the idea of a dysfunctional family seems ridiculous because every family is completely dysfunctional, you know, and in fact then dysfunction becomes normality, you know. But yeah, no, I didn't write it in a particularly, didn't lean into the Britishness of it, I just leaned into my own experience as much as I could.
One last question. We can take 2 last questions.
2 short ones, 1 long one.
It's interesting to see this social constellation, and then you have a noble person, a lord, who's taking the serving function. Is this a reflection from your side that the noble people have to downsize downward social mobility after Brexit?
I think it started before Brexit. I think that the financial collapse has completely fucked Europe, and it's fucked Britain particularly. So I think this has been, you know, I think wages have been frozen for 10 years pretty much, or longer, you know. So I think it's that's a general thing. I think Brexit obviously looms large in the UK at the moment, and I think this is, for me, every film I've made has been a kind of political film, and this is certainly a film that's affected by Brexit. But within my own family, there's people who will remain and people who will leave, you know, so it's not as ever as cut and dried as each side wants to make it out to be. And I think it's incredible that our political class has managed to split the country so thoroughly from left to right, from rich to poor, you know, not divisions within left and right and divisions within left and rich and poor, and it's fucking astounding, you know, that they couldn't have planned it better. And how it will pan out, I've no idea, you know, because they've almost completely dissolved the country in that respect, and they've found this incredible thing to split everyone up. So I don't know. It's a horror. So we'll see. And it will. But you know, it's like, I'm a big fan of 70s cinema, and the 70s was a complete shit show, wasn't it? And out of the 70s, you get quite a lot of good music and some good films. So in my own selfish way, I'm quite excited about the kind of general collapse of European politics and our economies. But also, from a filmmaking point of view, it means there's lots more empty industrial spaces to make films in. So there's a plus there, isn't there? You know, extras are cheaper. It's better and better. So yeah, you know.
Okay, one last question. Who was that? Let's hand the microphone there.
Why is Hanne's song there?
It's a Sieger song, which is a kind of, it's a German protest song. And I talked to Alexandra about it, and basically the way that those two songs worked was that in the script it just said David sings a song about his mum, and then it says, and then Hannah sings a song. Right? So I talked to Sam Riley and went, geez, do you want to write a song for this? And he's like, right, okay. And I managed to get him at a kind of a weak moment where he just agreed to do it. And I never heard the song until we did it on the day, and no one had heard it. So that what you see there is proper live, and all those reactions are live reactions. They're not, we didn't shoot one way and then shoot the other to see what they were, with them acting, they're actually doing it live. And then I'd kind of got an idea from Paths of Glory, like the end of Paths of Glory, where, and I imagine this film is like a war film basically, but without any, without any machine guns or explosions and stuff, but it's groups of people moving from space to space, having a fight with each other and then retreating or pushing forward. And then I thought that kind of Hannah was looking at it all with a slightly wry kind of sense of humour about it, and she would sing a song that she knew, because the Brits are famous for their lack of linguistic skill, and having only one language, which is British, English, they can barely speak, speaking for myself, obviously, not to defame our whole country, but, and she kind of knows that they're not going to understand this song, but it's a song about kind of throwing out your shackles and not having people not being downtrodden and thinking for yourself. So it's a kind of sarcastic song from her, but also I think probably from that character a kind of hopeful song, but it just goes straight over their heads. I showed it the other day at the National Film School, and there was a German student there, and it's the first time I've had a reaction from that song, which goes, oh my God, they taught that song at school, it was amazing. It was such an emotional punch to the end of the film. Obviously it's lost on anyone who doesn't know this song. And they were saying, well, do you want to subtitle it? And I was like, nah, fuck it, leave it.
Thank you so much for coming here. And
Thanks for inviting me, Jesus, great to be here.
Thanks to the audience.